Joining me today is David Brooks of the Concord Monitor. He focuses on science and technology in his writing. David, we talked about a lot of things, and one of your recent blog posts that really intrigued me, and it's made front page of the Monitor, was this sort of botnet, the Internet of Things, and how an attack, I think it was focused at Dyn, but it could have been focused in a number of places, effectively shut down swaths of the internet.
Yep.
And I'm driving in a smart car, smart-ish. It's got a computer. It's got the ability to communicate.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, as I'm hearing this, I'm driving it, and my, if I have it on cruise control, the computer says slow down, speed up, and I'm not, I don't have to pay attention to it. And I think about the cars that'll be self-driving, and so I'm thinking about downstream. Well, somebody just hacked my car. I'm in it. I don't want to go to that sort of extreme, but I want to understand this Internet of Things and what happened here and what does it portend?
So it is an interesting story, scary story actually. So you're right. An individual vehicle or object being hacked and controlled, that's one issue, and that is a serious and real issue. What happened with Dyn is a different matter. Is that so? Let me think. Okay.
So what is a botnet?
What is a botnet? There you go. Thank you. So Internet of Things. What is the Internet of Things? Internet of Things is all these objects that are now connected to the Internet. They can range from, like your network printer, so you can, make the printer in another building go off. They can be security cameras. It can be your router in your home.
Air conditioning, your heat. You can go online. You see it.
Thermostat.
Right.
Thermostat. And now there's like an Internet-connected crock pot, so you can turn your crock pot on at home. So all these objects, and that's cool, and there's really interesting advantages to all that, but they're not, and generally, very secure.
Because who worries about their crock pot going crazy?
Their crock pot. Did you change the password when you set up your router? No, you didn't. Come on, you're part of the problem.
No, I did. I did.
Okay.
I did, because I can't remember that password.
You tape it on the outside. So all these things, and there's millions and millions of them out there, are unsecured. The bad guys realized this long ago. This is really cool, and so they have infected many, many millions of them with malware, and they have not infected them so they can control them. They don't really want to take over your crock pot and alter your dinner. They are using these Internet of Things, these infected Internet of Things, as sort of an army that they can use to attack other things, and that's the botnet. They are a network of software robots, bots. So if you have established a network of bots, if you have 1 million pieces of malware in 1 million objects around the country, and you say, all right, right now, start sending junk files to Dyn. Bingo, and that's what happened a couple weeks ago. So and the reason they attacked Dyn is because probably the hottest tech company in the state. It's become a real leader in developing DNS, which is the sort of the address book of the internet. And so they swamped Dyn, and as a result, the address books for their customers were no longer accessible. So your computer didn't know where to find them. So all of a sudden, you couldn't find Twitter anymore. You couldn't find Spotify because Spotify's address book was being swamped at Dyn. And this was done by controlling millions of fairly dumb things like security cameras, literally, baby monitors, even in some cases. And so this is. And by the way, Dyn was ready for this. They had, just like the day before, one of their officials had given a talk about the concern of a DDoS, the distributed denial of service attack. And they're a smart company, and they are ready for this stuff.
And they
were still taken down because it was so incredibly massive. This problem has grown so much faster. So the concern was, well, this was a test, and they want to take down the whole internet during the election. That was one of the people were afraid of. You'd asked me earlier actually about Liberia, the entire country of Liberia, which only has one cable connecting to the internet, one connection to the internet. The entire country was taken down with a DDoS attack later, just sort of as a test, maybe. Is this like Russia or China or some bad gangster group testing how much damage they could do? And there's concern.
The electric grid is actually
the electric grid
is the thing I would really be worried about.
In Helsinki, Finland, fairly recently there was a DDoS attack against the networked heating system in a couple of buildings. They shut the heating system down in winter in Helsinki. which is exactly one of the things that, one of the scenarios that was presented to me when I did my column by a researcher at Dartmouth. That's exactly the kind of bad thing you can do. And so what you do instead is you send them and say, hey, we're about to do a DDoS attack and shut down the heat for all your clients. And you'll be sued for $1 million, but we won't do it if you pay us $100,000 in Bitcoin first. I mean, maybe it's just criminals doing this. It's actually a real issue.
So will there be? We have about 10 seconds.
Okay.
Will there be good countermeasures for this?
There are countermeasures. They are adequate, but they're late. This is going to be a problem.
And is this something that's tackled at the federal level, or is this a corporate?
Both. At minimum, both.
We probably should have started with this, because this is interesting, but we are out of time.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
You bet. It was fun.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Capital Connections, your weekly access to politics and policy along the I-89 and I-91 corridors and how it impacts your life in our region. If you've got an idea or a comment for a future show, why don't you send me an email? But remember, please join us at this same time for another edition of Capital Connections.